What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Sly Jordy, and welcome back to some more F1 25 driver career mode for the Brazilian Grand Prix. But if you missed last episode at the Singapore Grand Prix, what a strange race it was. Probably the strangest episode we've had in this entire series so far. With changeable conditions, the Inters feeling absolutely incredible in the rain, and despite that, a lot of the AI actually pitting for it. I'm pretty sure Lando was one of the only people not to, and he went up from P6 to P2, so a big recovery drive for him just for staying out on the Inters, and probably the strangest glitch I have ever seen on this game, where Fernando Alonso DNF'd. I had to restart the entire race just to see if I could bypass that bug, and then it happened again, and I hypothesized at the end where I think he was supposed to have an engine failure, but there was so much going on with the changeable conditions in the coding, whatever, that the game may have just straight up forgot to give him an engine failure, and so it just classified him as DNF at the end of the race. Because let's be real, if anybody has ever restarted races in the career, you'll find out very quickly that AI DNFs are extremely scripted. They are pretty much planned for the beginning of the race, and it's part of the reason why I want there to be a feature where we could just switch off mechanical failures completely, not just for ourselves but also for the AI drivers. I feel like things would be a lot more interesting, because a lot of the DNFs are happening for the higher place drivers. I mean, look how many times Alonso is DNF'd already. Same with Piastri, 3 apiece. You go back to season 1, Alonso and Piastri are the ones DNFing the most still. You know, it's a huge issue, I think. Especially on this year's game, just having specific drivers DNF all the time. You know, it's always the same ones, and I really feel like now is the time to finally get that feature removed. But focusing on the here and now, regardless of that bug, we are remaining in front of Ferrari. We've actually gained points on McLaren due to my victory and Piastri placing as low as he did. Ferrari, of course, scoring the exact same number of points as myself. Alonso with that DNF losing all 10 points that he would have gained, which would have been huge for us. I mean, we'd be at 302 points by now, which would be a very healthy lead over Ferrari. But we pretty much made a sidestep with Ferrari, whereas we've extended our lead over McLaren. So that's a good thing to take away from that race. But hopefully in these last few races, last 4 races, including I think we get a sprint in Qatar. I forgot about Brazil. I don't know if we have a sprint in Brazil still. I know we did in F1 23, so we'll see if we have it here. But yeah, hopefully there is points still up for grabs, so hopefully we can make up for that, and hopefully Ferrari can still remain as inconsistent as they have been all season. So we'll have to see what happens. Looking at the vehicle right now, it is time for us to put in a new internal combustion engine. Originally, I did say I wanted to take a grid penalty every time we have to do one of this, but I'm going to be honest, after that bug last episode, I don't think the game deserves that compromise, so I'm not going to do that. We're going to put in the new ICE. We're also going to be putting in a new MGUK for better harvesting efficiency, and in terms of everything else, we seem to be fine. We could put in a new gearbox, but I usually like to push it until 50% to do that. We have over 1,000 R&D points now, so we can actually start going for something new. Maybe I think it was to do with the chassis. Yes, finally, the monocoque structure will be available for us to purchase. We could rush it, but honestly it can arrive at a 30% chance before Brazil, and we do definitely need to improve this chassis. Even Kick Sauber and Racing Bulls have a better chassis than ourselves. It's a very weak part of the car. Obviously, you know, the big reason for that is that it's been powertrain only for most of the season. We can now break the contract that was locked before, so I guess we had to stay for quite a while. I do have a 2-year contract with Aston Martin. I'm not going to break that contract. I mean, we're about to win the championship, the Drivers' Championship with them, so it would make no sense to break it right now, and hopefully we get an even better car to make things better.
We've had a major issue on the production line earlier this week, and the entire development package for the weekend has failed. Any redevelopments will need to be ordered from the R&D screen.
Well, it's not as bad as it sounds. I did say last episode that we were going to rush it for a reason. to have a 0% failure chance before Brazil. So this upgrade is absolutely coming, regardless of what happens. I'm pretty sure we have other upgrades that I did. Pretty much the same thing. The ICE reliability testing has failed, but, you know, I don't really care about durability. That's Alonso's thing to do. And maybe we do need to start caring about that. Maybe that's why his engine keeps failing. I don't know, though, because same's happening with Piastri. I think it is truly a scripting bug, that is for sure. But the redesigned brake ducts have arrived along with the monocoque structure. So those are some big upgrades going into Sao Paulo. We got even more weekly resources now. So we've got 604 points. Let's have a look what we can get next. We can now get the wing mirrors and the DRS activation mechanism, as well as the rear floor under tray distribution, roll dampers, and the rear floor under tray itself. So we could go with any of these, having a look. A lot of them are minor. Yeah, that one's minor as well, and so is this one. In terms of the aerodynamics, we've got the wing mirrors, another minor upgrade that wouldn't arrive until quite late on, actually, with 2 Grand Prix to go. So in my opinion, this particular upgrade would be useless to go for, but of course the upgrades are carrying on over into next season. I'm not going to do a drastic thing like I did with the powertrain only thing. We're going with balancing out the field, which will make everything super interesting. The aerodynamics is already absolutely fantastic on this car, so I think what we're going to focus on is getting the chassis a lot better. This one will require 50% recognition, and we're getting pretty close to that. I don't know how close we are getting to that, because progress has been pretty slow since we reached 48% recognition, but I am going to rush this because it arrives quite earlier before Vegas, and so perhaps we could, I don't know, get it before Qatar? Who knows? I definitely think we need the upgrade going into Qatar, so I'm going to try and rush it, because if we can get it before Vegas, that's going to be absolutely perfect for us, and then I'm going to build up R&D points as much as possible to hopefully get started on the rear floor under tray distribution or the rear floor under tray itself. But without further ado, it is now time to get into Sao Paulo for this race weekend. Round 13 out of 16 in this season of the Formula One World Championship. I forgot whether or not this is a sprint weekend. I'm so used to F1 23 and F1 24 still. Actually, I don't even remember 24. So I'm just so used to 23 that I'm pretty sure it is a sprint weekend, right? I don't know. Yes, it is. So this is only our second sprint weekend of the season. We'll have another one 2 episodes from now, but this is going to be very interesting, especially since the sprint will be in the rain. I don't know what the... Oh my god, yeah, absolutely, completely in the rain. That is very, very interesting. That's going to make sprint qualifying all the more important. But the full race itself is all sunny skies, so that's a very good thing right there. Hopefully Alonso can qualify really well, because the chances of losing positions in the sprint are quite slim on this game. So if you place pretty high, chances are you're going to be able to keep that position for the majority of the race. Unless you're battling for first, then of course DRS really comes into play, but the rest kind of follows into a DRS pack. Let's have a look at the progress history, see where everybody is at. Alpine have gotten a major upgrade, and they have absolutely jumped over Kick Sauber, Haas, Williams, and ourselves. So they must have gotten not just one major upgrade, but another one on top of that. Other than that, everybody else has brought upgrades into this race. So it's going to be very interesting to see where Alpine, or more importantly, more specifically, where Gasly places. I highly doubt Doohan's getting anywhere. Him and Bortoletto are the only guys not to score any points this season. So, yeah, I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. Who knows? We'll see. But definitely Gasly has already gotten some strong results this season, and yeah, it'll be worth keeping an eye on him. Without further ado, though, it's time to get into sprint qualifying for the Brazilian Grand Prix.
It's a Saturday showdown. Anyone fancy some hot laps around Interlagos? It's qualifying day here for the Sao Paulo Grand Prix.
Well, here we are at one of my favourite circuits on the Formula One calendar. Historically, one of our strongest, although I do remember Season 1 of this game in the Racing Ball being a lot more difficult than I remembered, especially with how the AI accelerate out of each corner compared to the player. But We're in a much faster car this time round, of course one that can fight for not only the Drivers' Championship but the Constructors' Championship as well, and we'll be looking to bounce back from the glitch that basically took away 10 points from our team in Singapore. This initial qualifying lap is usually just a banker lap just to get a time on the board, as we only get one set of soft tyres in the entirety of this session. So yeah, the first one I usually do on mediums. I don't know how the AI pull it off, to be fair, because if everybody only has one set of softs, I don't know what they're doing for their second lap, to be quite honest, but they still seem to be putting in pretty competitive times. By the time we get on track for our soft tyre lap, the track and the weather in general is just looking a lot better. A lot sunnier, that is for damn sure, but I don't think the track conditions are going to be the greatest. I think the surface will still be cold from the conditions that we had earlier, but that doesn't stop us from being quicker on this second time. 2 tenths up right now as qualifying, as the checkered flag falls down for this session, of course, so this is going to be the only attempt that we can do on the softs. Of course, that medium lap was good enough for P16, P17 right now, as somebody has set a faster lap. I think it was Hulkenberg. There'll be more people setting fastest laps, that is for sure. So we're going to have to make sure that this one, that we make it count. We need to make this count. 4 tenths up though, it's looking like a very good time. Going over 5 tenths now, it's still rising. We have a lot of ERS to use, so we're going to burn it all the way across the finish, I think. 6 tenths up on the original time. What's it going to be? P10. Wow, that's pretty shocking. I don't know what it was about the conditions. Maybe we just didn't use enough ERS throughout the lap, but P10 is really, really weak, even by Brazil's standards. That is pretty rough. Our teammate, P13, so it just looks like the car is just not strong enough in sprint qualifying this year, and that's going to make the wet sprint even more difficult.
It's wet here today, and we're expecting those downpours to continue. This will make for a difficult sprint for all the teams. Interlagos, always a very special race here in Brazil. It's a 2.7-mile circuit with 9 left turns and 6 right turns for a total of 15 corners. It's a wet one today as well, so grip and visibility will be at a premium, and the drivers will need to be careful coming up the hill in Sector 3, the scene of many an accident over the years. Interlagos, always one of my favourite weekends of the season. Love Brazil, adore this track.
Absolutely spot on, Crofty. I wish you could pick this circuit up and place it, copy-paste it on multiple different locations around the planet, because it is sensational to watch, sensational to drive. And for all these drivers here in Brazil, it's a great time to get stuck into this Interlagos circuit. It's an anti-clockwise track, lots of important corners to get right, and it's a track where you can make or lose an awful lot of lap time.
Okay, here we go. I know what you can do. Don't let me down.
Well, of course, it makes matters worse that both of our title rivals in the Constructors' Championship anyway are in the top 4 of this sprint. We've moved up into P9 as somebody has taken a grid penalty, and Fernando Alonso might have moved up a little bit as well, but I highly doubt we're going to be scoring many points in this session, especially my teammate anyway. They won't be as aggressive as the player can be, of course, as we now wait for the 5 red lights to go out. And we are underway as Lando Norris leads the way from teammate Oscar Piastri. The 2 Ferraris behind Verstappen doesn't get the greatest of starts. He'll be looking to be challenged by Kimi Antonelli as we dive down the inside of both Ocon and, well, it's just Ocon as we move up into P8, looking to follow the Williams of Carlos Sainz and the Alpine of Pierre Gasly like I said, let's keep an eye on Gasly. It's already a good race for him so far. Very good qualifying. Alpine bringing 2 major upgrades into this weekend. Kimi Antonelli and Verstappen, as you can see down the road, still side by side as Esteban Ocon in the Haas. Look at the amount of grip that the AI have compared to me in these high-speed corners. We beat him to this next one, though, and look at all the cars going slow ahead. I think you know what that means. We're going to dive down the inside of both Gasly and Carlos Sainz and take P6. What a beautiful overtake that was, but Carlos Sainz in the Williams fighting back. It's going to be a little bit more difficult to get past the Spaniard, but we managed to get it done nonetheless. We're getting closer and closer towards the Ferraris, which is exactly what we want. It's still going to be us getting knocked off the pedestal in the constructors overall just because of how far back Fernando Alonso is. It is a shame, but our car is certainly not strong, at least in sprint conditions this weekend. We still have a full race to go, so who knows what could happen. But for now, P6 is a pretty good spot for us considering where we started. And it only takes us about another lap to catch up to the Mercedes of Kimi Antonelli, who had a very good start against a pretty bad starting Max Verstappen. But yeah, times and positions are starting to get cemented now, and P5 might just be our peak overall as we make the move past Kimi Antonelli. P5 from P9 is not bad at all as we go through the Brazilian Grand Prix. My engineer's on the radio talking about the weather getting drier and drier, so cars are only going to get faster and faster from here. I don't know what that means in terms of just how quick we're going to be against the AI, but I am sure glad that we managed to get those overtakes done in the first couple of laps, but I'm pretty sure that this is going to be where we will be staying for the end, for the rest of the race, as Lando Norris sets the fastest lap on lap 6. It is definitely getting quicker. Yellow flags behind. We're definitely getting slower against Verstappen, quicker against Antonelli, turning into a pretty lonely race overall, but I'll take a P5. We are limiting the damage as best we can, and we can always have another shot in the full race. There will be a lot more points up for grabs, that is for sure, as we now continue this Sao Paulo Grand Prix. We also still have a few races left to go after this, as Esteban Ocon is out of this session, and a red flag is waved in the Brazil wet sprint, and Hajar is also out. Perhaps a collision between the two of them, who knows, but that is huge. A second red flag in a few races. We didn't have any this whole season, this whole series in fact, but we've had 2 in just about 3 episodes, as yeah, Esteban Ocon, engine failure. I don't see how this would cause a red flag, if I'm quite honest, but yeah, this is how Esteban Ocon got out of the race. What about Isaac Hajar in the Racing Bull, our former teammate? It looks as though he is slowing down. Yeah, so 2 engine failures, 2 stricken cars, unmoving cars in very close positions on the track. Yeah, I can see why the red flag has been waved. Maybe a safety car could have been waved, but I honestly prefer the red flag because time passes and now the intermediates are the quickest tyre, and we'll be starting from the start line here. Just a brand new start with 4 laps to go. So it's going to be a 4-lap super sprint to the end with the intermediate tyres as we now wait for the 5 red lights. So go out, and we are underway once more as Max Verstappen once again has a pretty rough start. We're going to make the move past him as Oscar Piastri and Charles Leclerc go side by side. What's going to happen between these two? Can we take advantage of these two? We'll have to see as Oscar Piastri looks to make the move past Leclerc, and look at the acceleration that those two drivers have. Even though I was spending ERS all the way around that corner, they still managed to leave me in the dust. Lando Norris once again getting away with a pretty good start off the start line. He'll be running away with the race. I highly doubt he'll have any issues like any issues taking the win as we look to make a move past Charles Leclerc as I dive down the inside. We'll make the overtake off track though, so I am going to let Leclerc pass me once more, and we're going to try it again. That is for damn sure, as we're going to throw a little dummy towards the left before switching back to another dive bomb here. This time, a much cleaner move, still a little off track, but I wanted to give Leclerc as much space as possible. Either way, that is P3 gain for us, ahead of both Ferraris. Unfortunately, because of where Alonso is, Ferrari will still score more points than us, but the higher we can get, the more damage gets limited. So now, I don't think Norris is going to get caught up to any time soon, so I've got my sights set on the McLaren of Oscar Piastri, who is probably the unluckiest driver in our career mode. I would love to see just how close to the championships he would have been, Season 1 and Season 2, had he not been receiving as many engine failures versus all the other AI, but he's looking fine for this race as we are hanging off the back of him. Of course, we're not too far off him at all. We're within a second. Of course, it doesn't really mean much as we drift round the corner with a little dive bomb. That looked absolutely awesome on the replay cameras. Definitely didn't look as cool on board, but of course you don't really see the back of the car step out. Of course, you only really feel it. So yeah, that's P2 gain for us, and considering where we started in the sprint race, a little bit lucky with the red flag, but I will take this any day. This is absolutely phenomenal for us. Again, still, Ferrari will have scored more points than us, but 7 points is much better than what we would have scored. I think it would have been about 4 points, something like that. And, you know, the 7 is a lot better. It's only a few extra points, but it all counts at the end of the day. And, you know, we need as many points as we can get to make up for what happened in Singapore with the game, of course, really screwing us out. It's definitely going to be a very bitter feeling from myself if anything bad happens towards the end of the season, especially with Ferrari close on our tail and McLaren having a pretty good race, all things considered as well. Lando Norris crosses the line to win the race with the fastest lap as well. We come home in P2. Individually, that was an absolutely phenomenal race from ourselves, but our focus is a lot more on the constructors right now with the big lead that we have in the drivers, and yeah, that's not a good sign of things to come, as we only score 7 points, and Ferrari are able to score 9, and look at this, we have been knocked straight down to P3. It's still really close. We're only 2 points off of McLaren, but McLaren making some huge gains in that sprint race in particular, and they are right back in this constructors fight. It's very, very close. Let's get into qualifying.
It's a Saturday showdown. Anyone fancy some hot laps around Interlagos? It's qualifying day here for the Sao Paulo Grand Prix.
Well, we're finally actually going to get some hot laps this time. Sunny skies all the way around. Definitely a hot and humid day in Sao Paulo today. There's going to be a lot more grip on offer than what was a pretty cold sprint qualifying session. I don't know how much of a time difference that's going to be, but all I know is that it will be an advantage. I'm not going to waste your guys' time. We're going to get straight into the penultimate the final definitive qualifying lap. It was a pretty good first one, a P8, but I don't know what that means in the grand scheme of things. It's certainly better than whatever we got in sprint qualifying, which was that P10. So that's a really good sign, but of course, you know, people are still yet to do their second lap. We've got a second pair of softs bolted onto the car right now. It's been a really good start as we go through Sector 2, 3/10 up, of course. Gasly sets a pretty good time in the Alpine. That's P9 for him. Definitely keep an eye on him. That is for sure. Gasly, Hulkenberg actually sets a pretty good time now, overtaking us. We're down to P11. I don't know where our teammate Alonso is, as George Russell now goes quicker than us in the Mercedes. Mercedes not looking that quick at all in the grand scheme of things. But yeah, we went a little bit slower towards the end of Sector 2, but we're really gaining that time back through Sector 3 now, using the last of our ERS. Definitely a lot more ERS usage than there was in sprint qualifying, and that is going to be a P6. So still the average position for us, and a bit of a recovery drive from there, and it's nightmare a nightmare for us. Lando, P10, but both Ferraris in P1 and P3 respectively. Fernando Alonso out-qualifies us, but look at Gasly in P4 making use of those two major upgrades that Alpine bolted on. It's going to be really interesting. It's going to be quite the fight to catch up to Ferrari. Let's see if we can get it done.
Formula One returns to Interlagos once again with the stage set for what promises to be another classic Sao Paulo Grand Prix. Sebastian Vettel famously clinched his third championship here in 2012, and just 4 years later, Max Verstappen treated us to one of the finest wet weather drives of all time. It's an unusual anti-clockwise race here in Interlagos, where the Sao Paulo locals are packed into the grandstands at each of the 15 corners around this classic 2.7-mile circuit. Two very fast sections bookend the famous and highly technical Sector 2, where getting a good run out of Junsao into one of the two DRS zones will be key to any overtaking prospects today. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Oscar Piastri lines up on pole position, with Charles Leclerc alongside. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Gasly, Fernando Alonso, the rookie, and Tsunoda, Colapinto, Behrman, Hülkenberg, and Max Verstappen, Russell, Ocon, Andrea Kimi Antonelli, and Sainz, Hadjar, Doohan, Alex Albon, and Gabriel Bortoleto. Stroll and Lando Norris starts from the back of the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track.
Okay, here we go. I know what you can do. Don't let me down.
Yeah, you say the same thing every single time. But whatever, let's focus on our strategy. It's going to be a mediums to hards. I think the rest of the grid will be going for a similar one. We're going to actually pit a lap earlier on these mediums in the hopes of getting a undercut in, and of course help to prolong our driving style with these set of tyres without, making them go pop. But this is a very good position for us, at least for Alonso anyway. For us in particular, it's not good, especially with the Alpine of Gasly being the, the separator between ourselves and Ferrari. But actually, Verstappen has taken a grid penalty. He's all the way down in P10, so that's a little bit of a lifeline for us as we get underway. Oscar Piastri leading away from Charles Leclerc. It's a very good start from the Australian, as Leclerc actually is being pressured right away from Gasly. We're going side by side with our teammate. I'm going to let him go. I don't want to fight him at all because, we've got a constructors fight to worry about, as Pierre Gasly in the Alpine looking to make a move past the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc, really putting those major upgrades to good use. That's how much quicker the Alpine has gotten in just one race, side by side with, honestly, the best car on the grid. He's passed the Ferrari. That's absolutely insane. We are seeing an Alpine in P2. Meanwhile, we're getting pressured by the Red Bull of Yuki Tsunoda, and somehow, some way, in all that commotion, Max Verstappen has snuck up from P10 to P7. It's only going to be a lap before he overtakes Tsunoda at this rate, and he's already challenging us. That is not good at all. And I think that pretty much cements our strategy for the rest of this race. I've got to hope that Alonso has the pace to catch up to Leclerc, because I'm going to use everything in my power to keep Verstappen behind me. That is for sure. But yeah, just an absolutely phenomenal start from Verstappen, a phenomenal start from Pierre Gasly, and Oscar Piastri 2 seconds up the road. He'll be hoping to run away with it and win this Sao Paulo Grand Prix. Leclerc he's got DRS, but I mean, look at how far he was at the beginning of that section. That, dirty air coming into fruition as well. Alonso doesn't seem to have the pace. He's quite far behind the two, even though they were fighting quite a lot. Alonso just doesn't seem to have much in him. Of course, Verstappen is over a second behind us, so I'm hoping Alonso can at least keep up the pace. But speaking of Verstappen, let's actually get a replay of that absolutely crazy start. He made about 4 overtakes in just a lap. It was absolutely insane. So look at this, Behrman focusing fully on Nico Hulkenberg, completely forgets that Verstappen is there, and Verstappen gets a free dive down the inside. Definitely a very vintage Verstappen move, that is for sure. And now he's behind the two Red Bulls of Colapinto and Tsunoda fighting together, fighting each other side by side. Red Bull will not be happy about that, but they're not really fighting for anything this year, so they're probably just letting it happen at this point, as Colapinto does back off. Tsunoda catches me off guard, and in doing that, Colapinto actually gets a nasty whiff of dirty air, it seems. I rewound it just to see if that was the case, and yeah, just look at the steering inputs. Colapinto had a crazy whiff of dirty air as Tsunoda dove down the inside to challenge me. Again, catching me off guard. I was focused on keeping behind Alonso, and Tsunoda just came out of nowhere in my view, and this was Verstappen overtaking Tsunoda at the end of lap 1, going on to lap 2, and now he is behind us. So my strategy from this point onward is to play the team game for the constructors and just hope that Alonso has the pace to catch up to Leclerc, or at the very least Gasly and Leclerc fight enough to slow down. But Alonso only has the pace to just about stay within DRS as Leclerc and Gasly once again do battle. Piastri hasn't got too much further ahead, so the battle between Gasly and Leclerc is infuriatingly really clean. They're not really slowing each other down nearly enough to make any moves. Alonso is catching up, but again, the moves are so clean that Alonso doesn't really have a chance to make the move. I don't know if there's an engine wear thing going on, or if Ferrari and Alpine are just, well, we know Ferrari's a better car than us, but Alpine is very, very strange. They're only just ahead of us in R&D after those two major upgrades, but I didn't think they were that far ahead. I wonder what upgrades they actually put into their car to get this type of performance, because battling with the Ferrari legitimately is kind of scary, to be quite honest. Gasly able to keep ahead of Leclerc all the way up until lap 7, and Leclerc, well, he's finally had enough. Gasly gives him the squeeze, but Leclerc is going to commit to the inside and take P2. He was so tired of being stuck behind the Alpine. Piastri now nearly 4 seconds ahead. Alonso has made absolutely no progress at all. He is just outside half a second ahead every single lap. He's making no progress at all, but I don't want to go past Alonso, because I know I could probably get Alonso, and I have the pace to catch up to Gasly and Leclerc, I'm pretty sure. But, if I do that, we risk Alonso losing a spot to Verstappen. So I actually start slowing down Verstappen and give Alonso a 3-second buffer to do whatever he wants, and let the team do whatever they want in terms of strategy. They could probably put Alonso right after me, which I'm really hoping they do that. But yeah, it's a pretty good stop for us. This is going to be our one and only stop of the entire race, as we are now onto the hard tyres, coming out into P15, it looks like, as the Kick Sauber of Gabriel Bortoleto and the McLaren of Lando Norris do in battle. That is not a sentence I would have thought I would ever utter. And another one is Gabriel Bortoleto in the Kick Sauber is overtaking the McLaren of Lando Norris. You can see on the leaderboard he's actually accomplished it. I'm focused on myself right now, but I mean, look at these two. Lando Norris, this is a legitimate overtake from Bortoleto, by the way. Lando having an absolute nightmare of a race, that is for sure. So I don't think we've got to worry too much about McLaren in terms of the constructors for this particular race, as we dive down the inside of Norris. Very easy move, as we have much more superior tyres. It is Ferrari that I'm worried about, because, yeah, we've got control of Verstappen very well. We're likely to come out ahead of him due to the undercut, but, oh man, Leclerc completely off the leash. He's only a second, just over a second behind Piastri. Piastri going slower than he was in this whole race. So Leclerc, that pace really coming into fruition. His pace late into stint 1 is definitely the best in the field from what we've seen so far, as Fernando Alonso comes out of the pits. That's Jack Doohan in the Alpine right there. Gasly up the road. He's not going to get caught. And Doohan is almost certainly going to slow down Alonso to protect Gasly. Piastri and Leclerc pitting 2 laps after everybody else. I think Piastri could have done pitting a lot earlier, that is for sure, because Leclerc has caught up big time, about half a second behind Piastri now. So Leclerc is looking to be the favourite to win this race, which is not good because, yeah, it's a good finish for Aston Martin here, getting a P4 and a P5 if, you know, positions before the pit stops or anything to go by. But, oh man, Leclerc will be scoring 25 points if he wins this race, and he does actually overtake Piastri. I don't know if that's in the pits. It's probably not. It's outside of it, but man, that is not looking good at all. Doohan finally coming into the pits, but he's certainly slowed down myself and Alonso because Verstappen is within a second from us already. So my strategy from before is going to be the same. This is all we can really fight for. I suppose I could have overtook Alonso and tried to, you know, get whatever I can out of the race, but I just had so much tunnel vision. It's my mistake, honestly. If I could go back, I certainly would have overtook Alonso. Because, I mean, look at how far back Russell is compared to Verstappen and Colapinto. You know, I think Alonso would have been fine for the rest of the race. But, yeah, Alonso, 5 seconds behind Gasly. It's too late to really change strategy at this point. My only, you know, thing to do is to protect Alonso as we see Leclerc make the move for the race win. Piastri looking slow in general as Gasly makes the overtake. An Alpine in second place, that certainly doesn't help. That's points that we possibly could have had. If Gasly didn't make those upgrades, we would have been looking at an Alonso podium, which would have been huge. But instead, we're looking at a P4 and P5, just doing whatever I can to keep Verstappen behind, but it's just not good at all, as Piastri does make the move past Gasly. So Piastri, whatever issue he was dealing with in that McLaren, has righted itself here. But I mean, look at how far ahead Leclerc is at this point. Leclerc turning on the afterburners halfway through this race, and he will be scoring a huge, hefty 25 points for Ferrari this weekend, which is just not good for us at all. And yeah, that means he'll be about 10, 11 points ahead, I think, Ferrari, which is just, yeah, that makes me feel really bitter because we lost 10 points due to that glitch in Singapore. Leclerc takes the win. Piastri, P2, Gasly, a podium for Alpine, huge for them. We get a P4 and P5 as Aston Martin, and we keep Verstappen behind, but Ferrari still score more points than us this weekend. It's not good at all, and certainly leaves us on the back foot with just 3 races left to go this season.
Charles Leclerc, what a drive, what a victory, he wins! Well, it's been a long wait for many of our drivers, but the wait is always worth it. Bring them out to the awaiting crowd. It's time for our podium celebrations. And that is a fabulous win and the top step of the podium for Charles Leclerc.
Not a good sight to see, and I knew this was going to happen as soon as we got that bug where Alonso practically got deleted from Singapore and we lost those 10 points. I knew this was going to happen, that we were going to have one unlucky race and it meant losing the lead in the Constructors. We would possibly still be leading the Constructors if not for that. But of course, you know, I had a bit more power to do something as well. I honestly should have overtaken Alonso and gone after the top 3, at the very least to limit Leclerc's points. But now Ferrari, with that win, a huge points gap now, jumping up to 12 points ahead of ourselves, 14 points ahead of McLaren. So that's quite the points deficit to make up for in the last 3 races. I'm just going to have to hope Alonso can fend for himself because I really need to start going for race wins now. That is for sure. I think we're pretty much securing the Drivers' Championship any race now within the next couple. That is for sure. But yeah, I'm going to be focusing on myself and getting a win because I think that's the best thing we can do for the constructors. We do hit 50% in terms of recognition though, so we jump up from 48%. That means we'll get a second R&D secret upgrade. So there's a silver lining at the end of that. That is for sure. But it's all to play for in the next few episodes. I'll see you soon. Peace.